I found these blocks and picked them up, and I only found the O and the E. So I'm assuming that they were like a 4-block set that said home. And I looked everywhere. I couldn't find the other two. So we're just going to work with these today. I got this beautiful napkin from my friend Natalie at sparksofjoystudio.com. So I thought these were really pretty, and I was going to see if I can try to get these onto my little blocks. Now, when I open this up, I'm going to have to take that second piece off. But you want to separate your pieces. And just put that over there. So it looks like it's got 4 little seams. So you have, you could use this whole thing, or you could just do just pieces of it, all kinds of stuff like that. So they all are the same image on each corner. So I was just thinking that maybe a fat little bird on here would be just the cutest little thing. And maybe even this one. I don't know. Just something different on them instead of using the words. And I saw this and I'm like, it's just beautiful. I want to try it. It's great for spring decor. So I want to use that. First thing that I want to do is paint the front of this and get rid of the letters and lighten it up so that my paper will pop on that lighter color. So I'm going to just use some off-white paint that I have. I'm not sure if I told you, but this is the color sample paint. I like to go into, I think this is from Bear. This is Bear, and I think it's from Home Depot, I believe. And I like to pick up the sample paints sometimes. I don't use a lot of white or red unless it's a specific time of year, like 4th of July or Christmas. So if I have a little bit of red, I'm okay with that. And I just want a little sample of it. And it's fairly inexpensive and it's good paint. So this is interior, exterior paint and primer. So 2 coats should be just fine to put on this once it's dry. I'll be able to put that paper on and you won't even see the letters underneath. I like to try new things sometimes, and I got the Fusion Decoupage Transfer Gel. I thought this would be fun to try and see compared to, I've used Mod Podge a lot. So I wanted to see compared to my Mod Podge how well this Fusion Decoupage Gel works. So I'm just going to put it on here. My paint's all dry. Make sure I get it all the way to the edges. All right, I'm going to set that one over there for the moment. See, I think I'm going to try this one because he's wider and this house is wider. So I'm going to do this one first. And I already put the gel on there. So, of course, he's not going to totally fit. I'm going to have to lose his little tail a little bit, but that's okay. And then I'm going to use my scissors and trim it up. Because again, I want to use that other bird. And I don't want this to mess up that piece of the paper. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. I kind of like the paper with the roof. I was going to paint it but I'm thinking I kind of like it. I may paint the little chimney because it is like a burgundy color. And, well, I was gonna paint the sides, but he's actually kind of a grayish blue color, so I don't know. I may just keep it the color that it is because it actually goes with it. I'll have to wait until I fully, this fully dries and I can sand off the edges. I'm going to go in and go over it with this decoupage gel. I'm afraid to use this new gel, new decoupage gel, only because I may love it. And so far it feels like silk going on the paper. It's so much different than Mod Podge. Mod Podge is so thick. This feels like so silky smooth when it goes on. I'm really liking it. So I'm a little afraid using it because I'm don't really need something expensive to use, but if it works better and looks better, you may just have to switch. All right, this one's mostly dry, so I'm going to try it, getting rid of this paper. I'm just going to sand off the edges where my white has kind of gone over the edge. See if I can get rid of that. Because I was planning on painting, but I actually like the light blue. The two blues together actually match up pretty well. Brings out a little bit of blue in it. And I actually don't mind the rooftop. And I love the texture on my paper. Mod Podge can leave things kind of shiny and give you a shiny, even though it's matte, it gives you kind of a shiny hue. And this actually is very dull, very flat, and I like it. It has wrinkled some, and I kind of like it because it kind of looks like crackle to me. And I doubt that I'll be able to show you, but maybe you could see that it's a little bit bumpy and crackly in spots, and I really like that. While I'm waiting for that other one to dry, I'm going to just go ahead and try and get this chimney painted on this little house. The other one is black, so I thought I might as well just go with black for both. I actually don't mind the colors with the napkin, so I think they look really pretty. I want to add a little age around my picture, so I'm going to take a little antique wax and go around the edges and blend it in with my picture. Once I get that filled in, I'm going to take the antique wax around the rest of the houses and cover them and wipe it back to give them an age-old look. I took a little of my wood wick and just put it a little bit on the end of my brush. And I'm just kind of going around the edges on my chimney to give that a distressed look because I can't really sand that back without bringing back that burgundy color. So I just kind of went around and brushed it really gentle, and that gives it a little bit more of a distressed look. I added some twine on the top of each, and I'm going to take this little ink pad, that stamp pad that I have, and I'm going to put some ink on it. I thought it might look nice to put some, I wanted to do music notes, but I don't have a music note pad. So I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to stamp it off so that I get just a light just light bits of it here and there. Put up in this corner. Yeah, see the writing there? Just a little bit here and there, and then maybe a little kitty corner on the side, like that. Do over on this side. It just adds a little bit of a touch here and there. There we go. So we got some little writing here. Yeah, I just thought that would give it a little something. The black will, match in with the chimney. I got that. I got that. There, we'll let that dry and then we'll be ready to use it on something. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of black from my stamp pad on the edges. So we're going to do something really primitive with this piece of wood. Believe it or not, this is going to be a primitive little sheep. So what I need to do first is set that there and mix up my paint. I need it to be thick. So my color is going to be, what is this, burlap? Burlap, Dixie Belle burlap. And I'm going to put some of that in my plate here. It's already pretty thick paint. That's a chunk of something we don't need. So you put that in there. And then we're going to thicken it with some cornstarch. You can use flour if you want. I have this whole thing of cornstarch, so this is my crafting cornstarch. So I thought I would use that instead this time. And you just mix it in so that it's thick. Like spackle thick. You could use spackle if you wanted to. Just color it, mix it in with whatever color you want. And you want it pretty darn thick. So then what I'm going to do, you could paint this first if you want, but you're not going to be able to see the wood underneath. Not on the top anyway. The rest of it, I'm just going to put this on the very top. The rest of it's going to be something else. Whether I decide to paint it or stain it or what have you. So basically you just put it on. To the edges. And you're kind of frosting it. I try to get it in all different ways and try to get it to get peaks, things like that. I guess I didn't maybe make enough. I don't know. Maybe just enough. Who knows? It's pretty thick. So I just want it to go all over the top so you can't see it at all. And if you can, it's not a big deal. You can take some antique wax, which I'll do later on, and go over it. So if you see any of that, it'll hide it. Okay, so it looks like, for the most part, that's all covered. So then I'm just going to go through with my little stick and just give it some texture. Now I'm going to have something here, so it really doesn't matter if there's not a lot of texture there. You can like tap it and it gives it those peaks. I'm also going to have the head over here. So I don't usually do this little corner section. I would try to leave it fairly flat, and actually you don't even really need all that on there. But I like to just make peaks. They'll fall a little bit, it's not a big deal. So I mixed up the black and did basically the same thing. It took a lot more cornstarch for this because that paint was very watery. But I mixed that up and thickened it. And I'm just going to do the same thing. Basically frost the top all the way to the edge. And just give it some peaks. Give it some texture. I'm just using what I have to cut out the head and the ear. And I'm going to just trace it out. I'm gonna go like this, trace it out. I just made these cutouts on my own, just kind of dabbled with it, figured out the size I wanted, the shape. So this is just a thin piece of like a balsa wood. So I'm just going to cut it out with my scissors. Pretty easy to cut out. You could use cardboard. It would be really easy to use a piece of cardboard to do something like this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is primitive, so primitive is not perfect. I'm just gonna take my sandpaper and go around it, just kind of clean it up. I want it more rounded. I don't want any spiky spots where I didn't cut it very well, and kind of get that bump out a little bit. I'm now gonna start painting the heads. So I've got two of the lighter color to go on the black ones. And then I'm gonna paint for the lighter ones. They're gonna have a black head with light ears. And then the light head is gonna have black ears. And just make sure I get enough paint on them. I'm gonna let those dry. And then these two are gonna get black. Like I said, these two are gonna be the light color, which I need to do this one. These are the ears, these little guys. I'm gonna do all three of these. Once the paint is dry on my heads and ears, I'm gonna go back and sand them, distress them, give them an old aged look, and then go back with my antique wax, give that a nice coat of antique wax that seals it in and also enriches that black paint and browns up the raw wood of the balsa. Then I'm going to go around the light color with some black paint just to make that pop against the bodies. So these are the sheet bodies. Aren't they so cool? I love the crackle that it gets as it dries. Hopefully you guys can see that really well. This one you probably can see really good. Yeah, they all crackled really well. They kept like the texture and things like that, which I love. Now, if you can see the wood underneath, you could stain these first if this is something you may try. And then you won't have that problem. I'm going to antique wax these. So I'm going to try and get that down in those cracks and then wipe the top back so that it's down in the cracking areas. And then it will fill in those areas so you can't see them. But you really can't. Like the black one, you can't really see the wood underneath. So I'm not really worried about it. the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure these edges, some of the paint was down over the edges a little bit, so I'm just going to kind of pick those off. And I'm going to stain the edges here. You could paint it. I'm going to stain and then probably just stain the back as well. It just goes a lot quicker and covers really nice, and it looks good. So we're just going to do that, and I'm just peeling off these little bumpy pieces so I have kind of a nice edge. Okay, I'm going to put some holes in the bottom of this to put my little nails in because they're square. It's hard to nail them in, so it's easier just to make some holes. I like to stagger them a little bit. So put one more forward, almost like it's walking or standing. I also, when I do it, I like to have it like at an angle a little bit, going outwards or inwards. So when I put my nail in, it'll kind of lean outwards so it will stand up on its own. Okay, can you see that a little bit better? How it's kind of spread out. And that way it will stand up. But then you've got to get it on a flat surface. All right, then I'm gonna hot glue there's subtle changes in my pieces so that I know which way it goes. So this one has a very rounded edge back here for the butt. And then here it kind of goes down. It's kind of hard to tell and show, but there's a slight difference. So I know this is the front, plus I flatten that out to put the head on. Now the head is kind of gonna point at the top. So I know that's the point, the top of the head, and then this nose part is rounded a little more. So I'm just going to put some glue on. Get it up like so. And then this is the little ear. The ear is pretty much the same. It may have a little bit more of a point on the top. Okay. And then just put that over the top of the head. And there's my little sheep. He's got his legs and his head, and he can actually stand. Then I ripped off a piece of homespun material. Gotta make sure it's flat and put him, I'm gonna tie him up. Originally I had a piece of cheesecloth over the top of him, but I wasn't really liking it. There was just something weird about it. So I'm just gonna wrap him with some homespun, fluff out his bows a little bit, trim his trim his little tails a little, and then fray them. I like it to go kitty corner a little bit. I don't know why, but I do. Okay, and then I have a little rusty star. So I'm gonna put that right in the middle of my bow. And then I have my little paintbrush with a tiny little end on it. And I just dipped it in there just a little bit. And we're gonna give him a little eyeball right about, oh, there, looks good. There we go. So he's got a little eyeball. Very primitive, very sweet. He's a sweet little sheep, and he actually stands up. So, super cute.
I hope you enjoyed my projects today. Let me know down in the comments if you had a favorite and which one it was. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell so you're notified whenever I upload a video. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.